Hi friends! Today I'm talking about something we dealt with last week right here on the ranch. Managing livestock through an absolutely abnormal winter with weather that can't make up its mind. I'll share what we did when our night pens turned into a muddy disaster with no dry ground anywhere, why we made the decisions we did, and why sometimes the best thing you can do for your animals is resist the urge to do too much. Let's get to it. Hey friends, welcome to the Get Goatwise podcast. Are you longing to raise goats and other animals for food but don't know where to start? Do you want to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the grocery store? Do you wish you had a mentor to walk you through raising livestock? Hi, I'm Millie, animal scientist, cattle girl turned goat rancher, co-owner of Dry Creek Livestock, and simple living enthusiast. For 15 years, I've been on a mission to raise all of our own meat, eggs, and dairy. Here, we'll talk about raising goats and other homestead livestock, how to create sustainable animal management systems that actually work, and a bit of off-grid life with kids and livestock. If you're ready to take control of your food supply, raise livestock with confidence, and provide your family with the most nourishing meat, eggs, and dairy available, you're in the right place. Kick off your muck boots, pour a cup of coffee, and let's talk livestock. Before we get into today's topic, I want to take a second to acknowledge something. This is episode 100 of Get Goatwise. 100 episodes and never missed a week. When I started this podcast back in April of 2024, I honestly wasn't sure I'd make it to 10, let alone 100. But here we are. We're here for the long haul, and there is a lot coming that I'm really excited about. Things I can't wait to share with you. The best way to be the first to know is to get on the email list at getgoatwise.com/join. The link is in the show notes. I keep it simple, I keep it useful, and that's where things land first. Come join us over there. Here's what's happening on the ranch. One storm after another. That's been the story around here lately, but I'm choosing to see the good in it. The frost is finally out of the ground in most places, which means this moisture is going into the soil instead of running off. That means grass, and grass means happy animals, so I'll take it. Finding a dry place to lie down has been a real challenge for the four-legged crew, though, and I'll get into exactly what we did about that in just a minute. I mixed up 500 pounds of mineral last week, and the goats were very happy that I did that. I don't recommend running out of mineral ever, but sometimes even I let that happen. We're set for a while now. And the new livestock guardian pup got a name, Zoe. She moved out with the goats last week, and I picked the absolute worst possible day to do it. We got a solid rain followed by 5 inches of snow overnight, so she went from puppy life to full livestock guardian dog duty with 0 warning, and she didn't miss a beat. She's loving it out there, already moving with the herd, already paying attention. Ava is keeping an eye on her too, which helps. She's still young and we're watching her closely, but her instincts are strong. It never stops amazing me what these dogs are just wired to do. We're still waiting on weather to get some goats shipped out, but I'm doing my best to be patient. Complaining about moisture in the high desert feels like a spiritual offense. The ground will dry up when it's ready. All right, let's talk about management flexibility and weather stress in livestock. What we dealt with last week is a pretty good case study in real-time problem solving, and I want to walk you through our thinking, not just what we did, but why, and maybe more importantly, what we chose not to do. Here's the situation. Our winter has been abnormal, unseasonably warm since December, which sounds nice until you realize what that actually means on a livestock operation. We normally stay pretty solidly frozen from December through March. We're talking a solid 2-week stretch of minus 20 Fahrenheit or colder in there somewhere every year. This year, we've been below zero only a handful of days total. Instead of frozen ground, we have freeze-thaw cycles, and freeze-thaw cycles combined with a night trap full of goats means one thing: mud. Not just a little mud. I have never seen a year where the entire pen had no dry spot for the goats to lay down. Get the tractor stuck, squishy kind of mud. That's a problem, a big problem, and here's why. Goats' coats can shed some rain, but persistent rain is a problem, and laying on wet ground is a problem. Both reduce their ability to stay warm by compromising the insulating value of their coat. But here's the thing. Even in dry conditions, drastic temperature swings put a lot of stress on livestock and are often a factor in respiratory illness. In a winter like this one, where we can be in the 40s one day and dropping near zero the next, you're stacking wet coats on top of temperature stress, and that combination is where animals start to struggle. So, a pen with no dry ground anywhere isn't just a comfort issue, it's a health issue. So, we had to do something. But what we chose to do and what we chose not to do were both deliberate. Here's what we did. We went in with the skid steer and cleared a large area in both the kid pen and the doe pen, all the way down to the dirt. We were strategic about where we cleared. It's on a slope, so any moisture or snow melt will run off rather than pool. We piled the accumulated hay waste and manure in the center of each pen. Then we spread some waste hay bales on part of the cleared area to give the goats a dry place to lie down immediately while the sunshine and wind do their work on the rest. Now, those piles in the center, they're going to do several things. The top dries out fast, and the goats will get up there to lay in the sun, which they were already doing yesterday. But those piles will also start composting, and composting generates heat. So if we get another cold snap, they've got a warm spot to get up off the wet ground. And eventually, those piles go back out on the pastures as some of the best compost you'll ever spread. It's basically the benefits of a deep bedding system without the work of doing it on concrete. We also set 2 bales in the kid pen and 2 bales in the doe pen. These are 4x4x8 bales, about a ton each. That buys us some time on feeding without running the tractor through the mud and making things worse. Now, here's what we didn't do, and this is the part I really want you to hear. We didn't panic. We didn't make a fast decision without thinking it all the way through to the end, and we didn't move everyone into the barn. That last one, I know that's going to be the instinct for a lot of you. Wet, miserable outside, dry barn sitting there, why not just put them in? Here's why. The barn would have gotten wet fast from the goats just being crowded in there. Moisture from their bodies, manure, the general mess that comes with a lot of animals in a small space, wet and warm in a hurry. And crowding animals in close quarters when you're already dealing with weather stress is a recipe for respiratory problems. You solve the mud problem and create a sickness problem. That's not a trade I'm willing to make. But there's a bigger reason we didn't over-intervene, and this is the one I feel really strongly about. When we step in too much in weather situations, we can actually decrease our animals' ability to tolerate the conditions. I talked about something similar back in episode 31 with chickens and heat lamps. Here's what happens. When you keep chickens under supplemental heat through the cold months, they don't feather up the way they're supposed to for winter. Their bodies don't get the signal that they need that insulation. So when the real cold hits, they don't have the feathers to handle it. You created the vulnerability by removing the challenge. It works the same way with goats, with all livestock. Their bodies are designed to respond to environmental stressors and adapt. When we remove every bit of discomfort, we can interfere with that process. So, when you feel the urge to intervene, ask yourself honestly, am I doing this for the animal, or am I doing this to make myself feel better? Because there is a difference. It sure feels good to do something, but in the long-term health of your animals, doing too much is often no help at all. Now, I'm not telling you to ignore suffering. A newborn kid in a blizzard needs help. A sick animal needs help. There are absolutely times to step in and step in fast. What I'm saying is that healthy, well-conditioned animals can handle more than we give them credit for, and our instinct to shield them from every hard thing can work against their long-term resilience. If you're going to intervene, make sure what you're doing is genuinely for their benefit, not just because doing something makes you feel better in the moment. Here's the other piece I want to drive home, and it's about management flexibility. We had a plan for this winter, feeding out in the pasture and letting the goats spread the manure as they grazed on the feed row. Good for the pastures, good for the goats, and less work for us. We got about a month of that before the weather went sideways. Once we had wet ground and constant freeze-thaw cycles, running out to the pasture every day to put out a feed row would have made ruts and done more long-term damage than good. So the plan changed. The manure accumulated in the pens instead of getting spread on the pastures. We'll spread it this spring. It's okay. That's what management flexibility looks like in practice. You make a plan with the best information you have at the time. You don't make it expecting to follow it perfectly. You make it because having a plan is how you recognize when things are going off course. When the weather changed, we knew the plan had to change with it. We didn't force the original plan because we'd committed to it. We looked at what was actually in front of us and made a new call. The producers I've watched struggle in situations like this are either the ones with no plan who are just reacting to whatever's in front of them, or the ones so attached to the plan that they can't see when it stopped working. You don't want to be either. Have a plan, hold it loosely, and stay willing to pivot when the situation calls for it. That's the job. So here's where we landed. The goats have dry spots to lay down. They're fed. We didn't create new problems trying to solve the old ones. We'll keep watching the weather and adjusting as we go. Welcome to livestock management in a weird winter. If you want to continue this conversation, head on over to getgoatwise.com/community and join us there. See you next week. Hey there, thanks for listening today. I'm so glad you're here. If this episode helped you or encouraged you in some way, share the link with your homesteading friends. And if you really want to help me out, click on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. You can connect with me on Instagram or email linked in the show notes, and meet me back here soon for more Get Goat Wise.